All right, look at you, man, with your hat. You're looking good.
Hey, I was talking to some casting director down there, Danielle. I started hitting it off. And she's like, oh my God, you guys have a podcast? Like, what kind of a podcast is it?
Well,
and she goes, I'm really interested to find out. I want to follow you guys.
I'm so tired of that question, by the way.
No.
I don't know how to answer it.
All things celebrity, all things in the arts, all things Hollywood.
No, I just say it's about whatever, whoever's on, that's what it's about. Like, I'd say I'd put a mailman on if we can make his route interesting. It's I want everyday people, too, not just famous people.
But the views are not going to add up.
I know, right?
I really want to tune into the mailman story.
Yeah, we just get back to the marijuana.
There you go.
That was actually.
Do you
fun.
partake of it, Cindy? Are you partaking of marijuana these days?
You might want to ask her if we're on or not yet.
We're not on.
Yes, is this on?
When we start, you'll hear like a bloop, and then Mo will tell us. What?
Oh.
It blooped.
Oh, so we're on.
You're on.
Oh. Well, I can get edited. We're not lying.
I tell you what, they're really good at editing, so they'll start it at just the right place. Maybe like with the word marijuana.
I don't have an issue with marijuana.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
No,
Fire it up? No, you can't smoke in the studio. I'm just kidding.
I don't know what you would. I mean, I used to love to smoke and go do yoga.
Okay.
That was
Getting in the zone,
in the zone. It's a little harder to balance.
I would think.
So then you get to, you have that obstacle, that challenge to face, which just, let's see what we can do. But you're just locked in and loaded,
Oh, yeah, you're loaded, all right. It's good stuff, yeah.
So
in your breath,
like we just
hear yourself inside. You're like, you're your heart pumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're alive.
I was huge, bro. I listened to Led Zeppelin for hours on end. It was the best thing ever.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I was so into it.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
not kidding you. I mean, I was so into it, and I used to get this hashish that was black hash that you could roll up in a ball.
Really?
Yeah, it came with a stamp on it.
Uh-huh.
And I'd get the blonde, and I'd get the indica. Like, I was getting the best from everywhere, like around Humboldt County and everything. Now, these kids think they're doing something special. Like, they think they're doing something, right? I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, we used to get the Thai sticks, the Buddha sticks, which were really big, and like a quarter, like they cut it in 4 parts if you're going to sell you a quarter ounce, and that was like $25. For a quarter ounce. Now, this will get some attention.
Yeah, I think
quarter ounce of Buddha Thai. And then they had the little Thai sticks, which were, I think, like a quarter, but it was just a little, so that was like $25 too. But hey, we haven't even introduced our guest.
What have to do with Cindy Leo?
Doesn't have anything
Now we're
to
going
do
to
with
transition
Cindy.
to health and fitness.
Right,
Yes,
it's a good transition. So let's introduce Cindy. Cindy Leos is how you say your name, right?
Sure.
I don't know. You're messing
Cindy
with me.
Leos.
Leos.
Yeah,
Did you say tomato? I say tomato.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I've known Cindy since we met, a couple years ago or more? It's been a while. It's been a minute. It was before the pandemic.
It's been
a while before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we were in Colleen Basis acting class.
That's where we met.
And she's been my private coach for a while.
Not me, Colleen.
No, you can coach me.
Oh, wait, no,
you're
but
good too. But Colleen is private coach.
Right, that's why I said not me, Colleen.
No, but we were in the class together. And someone else was in the class too, but I don't know if you want to mention the name because actually it was pretty cool to be in the class with one of your best friends.
One of my best friends, E.J. Johnson.
E.J. Johnson.
Very cool. Magic Johnson's son.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm a huge Laker fan.
He's so cool.
Same.
I want Cindy to see if you can bring him. There's another chair here. But that's so obnoxious to do that. Like, can you bring so-so? I actually asked Kaylee.
We don't really want you, but
I was fanning out.
I asked Kaylee. And it's the worst thing because Jimmy did it to Lonnie, and I was like,
straight out.
And I'm the one that was saying like, that's not good, because if they want you, they'll offer,
tell Cindy what we do. We're in a Dodger Stadium.
We went to Dodger Stadium, and we were behind home plate. And we hung out like there were players there and everything.
That's cool.
And we got the Dodger dogs and everything. But we were included in this whole thing was dinner.
Yeah.
So we go to dinner, And Jimmy decided
he doesn't
usually drink, and he decided to have a drink.
Yeah, I shared it with my girl.
And,
to be fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, you were feeling it though, right?
I had, honest to God, I hadn't drank. Well, it's been a whole year or two.
Okay, so we can get to Cindy.
Okay,
let's finish this story because I'll make it last the whole 30.
And
40
we only
minutes
have 30 minutes. I forgot to tell you, dude.
Okay, so Jimmy just point blank, both barrels. Lonnie, when are you gonna come on the podcast? I mean, I know this is kind of like, but are you going to come on? And she just had to do the whole thing like, it's like, but anyway, that was endearing. It was endearing. She knew
she got it. It was coming from. It was a good place.
Yeah, and she talks about coming on, so that'll happen for my fans of that come from my Instagram, that come from Lonnie's Instagram, that love all things Lonnie and James, Auntie Lonnie, Uncle James. Yes, there's a possibility. Anything's possible. We've talked about it.
Awesome.
Now let's get to now you take it away because I'm not going to say anything anymore.
Laker cheerleader. Oh my God, that is so rad.
That is pretty rad.
Big time. You got to tell us all about that.
Well, I mean, growing up in Los Angeles, I have all brothers, and in the 80s, Laker games is what brought our family together.
Totally. And
gosh, it was 1985. We were watching a Laker game, and my brother pointed out, he's like, Cindy, you see those girls? The Laker girls they showed them. And I was like, yeah. He's like, they're bad, right? You can do that. And just this light bulb moment went off. And I was like, turned to my mom, I'm going to be a Laker girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I became a Laker girl.
Isn't that great?
I love that. When you decide something, you say you're going to do it.
But the only thing was my goal was to be a Laker girl during the Showtime era while Magic Johnson was playing.
I was going to say me too, though. Just kidding. But I like the Showtime Lakers.
No, because it was so exciting.
We're going to talk about you
I wanted to be a part
later.
of that.
Trust me.
But unfortunately, 1991, that happened of him retiring. And I was like, oh my God, my dream is like not going to happen. But I was a Laker girl during the Shaq Kobe eras. So,
wow.
So, I guess the next best thing was a championship season. So I'm thankful I got to experience that.
That is so
Shaq
rad.
is the man.
And you got to hang out with Kobe. And
we didn't hang out. But I got to sit courtside and watch his genius.
Now, you guys travel on different buses, or
we don't do? It's only home games.
Copy.
And
wow.
Thankfully, I don't know when this changed, but back then, we were allowed to sit courtside. So I had courtside seats.
Very cool.
And then the previous year before that, I danced for the Clippers.
Really?
So I got to, and that was the first season at the Staples Center. And so I got to experience, they were the worst team of the NBA.
You get free tickets. I got like $10
I worked every single
tickets.
game. It was so much fun. The Clipper games are a lot of fun. They're very, very up and exciting. But they won 14 games that season.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. And so I got to experience being on the worst team and the best team.
The same, obviously, it's the same stadium, right?
Same stadium.
Yeah. Wow. And what a difference. What a difference one team to another, right?
Yeah.
So Lonnie just posted a video of me dancing, but she dubbed in a voiceover, which was very funny, by the way. And all these people are just like, they always, anytime it comes to my dancing, I get, a lot of people, you go, boy, just keep, go for it.
I liked it, dude, personally.
But there are people that say, oh, you can't dance. Well, I just want to tell everybody that I am a phenomenal dancer in my head. And
I love that.
You know what?
I love that.
But we're sitting in the presence of someone that is a serious dancer, and that leads me to my next question. Were you involved with dancing before you became a cheerleader? I mean, when did you start dancing?
Yeah, my first dance class, I was 2.5.
Wow.
And it was, I can still remember it actually. because I didn't know such a place existed. And when my mom took me, it was a Saturday, and it was just our local. I grew up in San Fernando Valley girl. Just a local dance studio there, and there were bigger kids than I was taking dance class, and I was amazed. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, I get to do this?
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to go back. And it was just something that I just loved it, and I consistently stuck with it, forever.
Well, I've seen pictures of you when you were little, starting out in the industry. You probably had your own, Z card. Remember when they used to have Z cards? And, you were doing, commercials, and
I started doing I did a lot of print work starting, 6 or 7.
Wow.
And so I was working regularly. And then commercials, I think I did my first commercial when I was 8. Excuse you.
You heard that in your headphones? That sucks about these microphones. They're so sensitive. You can actually hear every belch. You hear my belly groan and stuff like that. It sucks to get old.
Hey, but it's you're human.
Freestyle.
It's a human.
That's what I call it.
Freestyle. It's a human experience.
Yeah. So how about them Dodgers?
The Valley. So this is fantastic. So then the love of dancing, and then you got really good at it, and then you did print. And then when did you dabble into, when did you come to terms with, hey, you know what, I need to do a health and Pilates?
Well, it was something that I was somewhat always into. My grandmother sold herbs.
Okay.
And so when I would go to my grandma's house.
No, well, I did. I actually did.
To clarify.
Hey,
and this is
my
80s.
record was expunged, okay?
This is the 80s, so this is, Avon days.
Totally.
So it was probably something like that,
That's what I used to call myself.
I'm sure you had Avon.
Ladies,
you know what kind of parties he was at?
The Tupperware parties.
I used to roll it in a Tupperware bowl.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I used to study a lot of that kind of stuff with her. And so fast forward teenage years, me and 2 of my girlfriends, we all get jobs at Fred Segal.
Very cool.
Which is just high-end retail.
Isn't that down here on Sunset?
There's one.
That's a new one. But the Melrose one, and then there's I don't know if it's still there, Santa Monica one. We all worked at the Santa Monica one. I was going to SMC as well. And we all worked in different departments, but I hated it. I appreciate clothes and fashion, but retail is just not my thing. I don't care. And, spending, this is in the 90s, spending $200 on a t-shirt, I'm like, come on.
It's
nuts. Really?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I need to have a job because I have to pay my car note, etc. So I applied at GNC in Stevenson Ranch completely.
Nice.
I don't even know how this all happened.
I
don't know how I ended up there. And I got the job. So I quit Fred Segal, went and worked at GNC. I freaking loved that job. I was there probably 2 years, I think. That's where I got my call when I got Laker Girls.
That's so cool.
So it was because I didn't even have a cell phone.
Right,
I didn't have a cell phone in those days. So they called, work. Hello, it's GNC.
That is so rad.
I really loved that job just because it gave me that freedom. Also encouraged me to learn about the products. So I was constantly researching and simultaneously. So back to the Lakers thing. I started auditioning for Laker Girls when I was 17. Wow. It was something I wanted to do. I just knew it was a matter of time. And I'm like, maybe I worked as hard as I could to be the best dancer I could be. So I'm like, maybe my dancing will be, be good enough to get me in. Who knows?
Only the best of the best qualify.
But but I did realize there's so many other elements because if you look at the girls, if you looked at the lineup, they have, X amount of brunettes, X amount of, redheads. They have,
it's all kind of typecast, huh?
It's all, there's a lot of that. And that's when I first realized that.
Uh-oh.
So they're looking for very specifics.
They're and depending on, well, here's the thing. You have to re-audition every year, too.
Oof.
So I learned after that first year of okay, which girls are coming back, to be kind of strategic.
Right.
Because I knew for me it was look based. It wasn't dance. Laker girls, honestly, and I'm not tooting my own horn or putting them down. That was the easiest dance job I've ever done in my life.
Did it come down to it's like also the weakest link would probably be out? They wouldn't come back.
I mean, there's just so many things, and just who they like, because it's also a 2-week audition process. You have to go in and do an interview. That first day, I mean, they probably do 3 or 4 cuts, so you're just constantly learning choreography, performing it. They call you out, call your numbers. It's a long day, probably an 8-hour day, and then you have one-on-one interviews, and it just carries on. So it's like a multiple week process.
So it's a big
Is it
deal,
like a pageant in a way, like where they ask you questions, like?
No, but I will say when I got Clipper Girls and we had our mini camp, and I think we stayed at a hotel by LAX.
By LAX, yeah.
And I think when we're introducing ourselves, because I'm a dancer, I've never cheered.
Okay.
I didn't come from that background. I actually came from the background of I wanted to be a ballerina. So I was I was very,
regimented.
Serious. Yes,
Yeah,
very
great.
disciplined because I did a lot of ballet.
Totally.
Teenage years that shifted. And so we had our first mini camp introducing ourselves. Yeah, a lot of the girls were, from USC, UCLA, and, the first princess of this sorority, this kind of thing. And I was like, I don't belong here.
I'm like a valley girl.
I'm just a dancer from from the valley,
818.
Exactly. So it did feel, to answer your question, that did feel pageanty at that time.
Yeah, I was thinking of the questions, like, why do you want to be a Laker girl?
Yeah, because it was even like questions like if you had to describe yourself as an animal, or you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Yeah, that's kind of off the wall.
And it's just like, but
Wow.
I mean, I guess probably if you're into psychology, there's something. Yeah, I wouldn't say.
A
I
cougar.
think, and I probably said some kind. I honestly don't even know what I said. I probably said some kind of cat because I'm obsessed with cats.
Yeah,
I mean,
cats.
It's true. What's your cat's name?
Sparky.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sparky.
Sparky, my little man.
So they try to get in with the psychological.
I guess,
that's
and
usually
just
they
to
try
kind of see
where
how you're going to handle
How
situations.
many? Now you said you'd see who came back, so obviously
I learned that.
you were there for more than one season.
Well, I was. I mean, I kind of
you can
studied.
follow that
I kind of
even if
studied
you
the
were
Laker
not-
girls.
Yeah.
So even prior to me auditioning, actually
That's
that 97, I danced for the Sparks. The WNBA was the inaugural season of the
Damn.
WNBA.
Really?
Which it was a youth co-ed hip hop dance team. So I got to at least experience being at the Forum and dancing at the Forum because that was something I really wanted to
wow,
experience
yeah.
because I love the Forum.
Imagine that.
So I would get there early and just kind of, walk around the Forum and just like
Take it all
absorb.
in,
I want to
yeah.
absorb like all this, energy in here.
Overwhelming.
But I knew every girl. I studied the girls, so I learned. Let me keep an eye
when you
out.
were back there to audition for the Laker girls, and you had already danced at the Forum, it must have felt like
That
here
first
I
audition,
am,
well,
I'm
that first
back.
audition, I really had nothing to lose. I knew I was not of age.
Yeah.
I had just come off being on scholarship at Edge Performing Arts Center, which just recently closed their doors in 2020, unfortunately. But I was, taking 18 dance classes a week.
Wow, you're about it. You're serious about
It was
this.
it was it was an intense program, but I was so secure and strong in my dancing, my ability to pick anything up. I was so confident and comfortable in it all. I fell asleep in the stands. Like someone had to wake me up like, "Hey, they're calling your number." And I got up and went out there and
Damn.
killed it.
I wish I had that confidence
But
in an
let me
audition.
tell you though. So getting back to like the transition to
Sure.
GNC. So then, okay, so I didn't get that season. I did make it to the end of the day. I get a call from the director the next day. She's like, "I really want you to come back. You need to come back next year." I'm for sure I'm going to be there. Like, 'cause I'm going to be a Laker girl. Now, that next year, I immersed myself into school.
Okay.
Where I was like taking 22 units at school. I did not go to a dance class. I didn't move my body at all. I was just in school. I went to that audition. I sucked. I got cut earlier than I did the previous year.
Oh, wow.
So I was mad. So she calls me the next day. She's like, "You need to get in shape." You need to lose weight.
Ouch.
You need to cut your hair. Okay, on top of it. So here's the thing. This is, the 90s. It's not like today's day where you have a fitness boutique on every corner.
Right.
I had to educate myself. So in school, I put myself into coaching classes, all about nutrition, and then because they had. I would go every. Well, they had a great class. It was like a circuit class.
Yeah, I did that circuit class at LACC.
I could tell.
You could tell. Look at me.
At LAVC?
LACC back in the day.
So I did that at LAVC, and it was every day, 5 days a week, 7 in the morning. And then I got at GNC and just started studying, and back then it was the Atkins kind of like diet. So I was educating myself about that and followed that protocol to the best of my ability, with the best knowledge that I had at that time, and I really did. Then I did transform, and I auditioned the next year. Still didn't get it.
So there was a gap.
Still didn't get it. And then as I read after that, it was the last cut of the day. And I heard girls talking about, am I going to see you at the Clipper Girl auditions next week? And I guess previously, every year, the Clipper Girl auditions always followed after Laker Girls. So you didn't have that option of like, if you went to the Clippers and got it, you didn't have that option to go for Lakers. So this was the first year was after. So one of my best friends, whose boyfriend was a big Clipper fan, she's like, well, I'm going to the Clipper audition. You should come with me. I'm like, you know what? I'll go for the experience. Like, why not? Like, I'm down for dancing, and I love it, so why not?
It just feels good to land something.
Well, but just to the experience, because I knew, it's just weird. I was never stressed or never had any doubt. I knew it was just a matter of time.
Totally,
because that's when I started seeing the lineup and like, okay, when that girl leaves. And then finally last year she left. Because girls back then were Laker girls for like 9 seasons. Like they were there for a long time. So I went to the Clipper auditions and I got it. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is just like more experience. So then when I'm used to being on, a court doing this, it's going to be cake. And then the following season, I auditioned for Lakers and got it.
So it's okay to have worked for the Clippers one season, and then you can go ahead and switch to Lakers. There's no conflict there. Or anything.
No, because they're not overlapping, or you're not doing both simultaneously.
Right. As long as you're not doing
what I'm kind of thrilled with now, because we talked across, we talked for a few minutes before we came over and started, is the whole story about the Pussycat Dolls. Because I've mentioned it to people, and they're like, "Oh, the group," and I go, "No. It's like a review. It's like a burlesque. Right? It's like a Vegas thing." But little did I know that it does tie in with the group.
Oh, with the band.
And Cindy actually. I guess they used to be down at the Viper Room.
In the 90s. In the 90s, they were at the Viper Room. It was a big burlesque live show kind of thing where they had, it was always celebrity guest host. Carmen Electra headlined it, Christina Applegate.
Shakira wasn't there, was she?
Well, she may have done it.
David Faustino used to own the Viper Room during that time, right?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp owned it.
Johnny. Yeah, like we're on a first name basis.
Yeah, Johnny.
I met him for about 5 minutes. We got a picture together. He was really cool. I've been reaching out to him to come on, but I know he's been
a little busy and a little occupied.
But I still, I reached out. I said, "Hey, man, bring your guitar."
Yeah,
you used to own the Viper Room right down the street. I'd love to get you, come on in and just hang out. It'd blow everybody's mind,
right?
Because why would you do a little thing like this? But it sure would be nice for us.
That'd be cool.
But anyway, there's so much more. But that I thought was really, really cool. Because go ahead.
So that's what the Vegas show basically took it back to their roots of what they started out as, which was the live show.
Very
then
cool.
They turned into the recording group.
Oh, wow.
So I
didn't know that.
Get that? Yeah. See, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, so it was going around, because Robin Anton's the crew. She kind of took it over, the Pussycat Dolls in the 90s, and she was, I believe, living with Christina Applegate, and in Christina Applegate's garage / dance studio is where they would just rehearse, and she would make all the costumes. And
such a great story.
and
Good
so they were,
backstory.
and it was really like they were. I mean, really hot, really really cool show.
Wow, I didn't know that. Like, this is great. I mean, there's this whole other side to the Pussycat Dolls. Wow, who knew? That is so amazing.
Yeah, it went on for years, and then that show in Vegas opened in
That in
05
Vegas, yeah.
and went till 2010, and then I believe they reopened again at Planet Hollywood for maybe a year or so.
And you also dabbled in movies. So you've done movies. Obviously, you worked from the time.
I've done
you-
movies. I did some dancing in movies.
Well, I
Yeah.
have a little bit of trivia, which really I'm a little embarrassed. I'm not even like.
What's the trivia?
I don't even want to say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Well, I used to do a little bit of extra work on occasion, like a couple times a year, once in a while, to take a break from the painting. You know,
There you
I was just
go.
tired of painting, so I'd let them book me.
Change is good. Yeah.
I worked on burlesque with
I
Christina
love that movie.
What?
That's
Yeah.
such a good movie.
But getting back to
Was that the trivia? Is that your favorite Pussycat? Is that your favorite Pussycat Doll song?
is it the one I think it is? We can't play too much because I know this will shock you, but I don't know the rights to that song.
You have to.
So what
Cindy
happened was
Leals, wow.
it was, you know, like they were specific about who and what they wanted, and it was all really young people, really young, hot, club going people that were in this club scene. But they hired me to be like a stagehand guy. So I had the black t-shirt and the black pants, and I was behind the stage, and I had to push the stage up when they were doing this one song where they were going in and out of the vanity windows and flipping over the chairs and stuff. And the set was very, like they took our phones and put them in a bag, and then we could have them when we come back. We signed NDAs because it was a song that hadn't been released yet. I don't know which one it was, but it was on that soundtrack. It was in the movie. And yeah, Christina was there, and I got to watch her, you know, and I was thinking to myself, wow, she's so petite, and she's like that voice.
I know,
Like,
right?
that voice is so powerful.
So powerful.
So yeah, I mean, that was the one good thing. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna say one good. There's good things that come from getting on a set and doing it. If you want to be an actor, I'd say a handful of times is okay, but don't get too hung up and caught up doing extra
Be a
work.
career extra work
No,
person.
you'd rather have a line or two, or you'd rather go do showcases in front of agents and managers. You'd rather do theater. I mean, this would be better for you, anyone that wants to be an actor and thinks they're just going to keep doing extra work. And you want to be an extra and make money at it?
And don't they lie to you? Like
That's
when you
fine.
start doing the extra
No,
work?
no,
Saying,
they-
so-and-so was discovered here, and so-and-so
I
was
think I
discovered.
have heard that speech. You know, like Stallone was an extra.
Yeah.
John
And,
Travolta was an extra.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, yeah, he was kicking everybody's ass on stage.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
yeah.
on
No,
set.
and you know what? In the movie, he was an extra in Break-In. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with the movie in the
Break-In?
80s? Break-In? Yeah.
Yeah.
At the Venice Beach.
Oh, I've seen
When they're in
that's making the rounds. It's making the
It's on
rounds.
TikTok.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Breaking-
But yeah, you just see him. He's just, you know.
It's making the rounds on social media.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was an extra thing because it looked like it was a featured dancing type thing.
No.
He was just
an
being an
extra.
extra.
He was an extra.
That is hilarious. But you do see like John Wayne was an extra and Clint Eastwood was an
you
extra.
can too. You can
They
be
did it
fun.
like a couple of times and then pursued their acting career. That's the way you do it.
I once when I walked like for was it the Roberts or was that one company that would steal
You're not
from
going
you?
to tell the two of
They
them.
were
No, the
robbing-
anger management
know.
story
No,
again, are you?
There's this company that would like basically just tell you know what, you have it, I can see it in you, and then they'd have you like pay $1,500. Here's your packet, or you could
you
choose
serious?
packet
Oh,
B. Yeah, it was a
that
whole
was
scam. You remember that?
Hollywood Way
Right.
got busted for that, and that was a big
It was
story.
huge.
And I remember
Oh,
I
wow.
took a class and it was through Hollywood Way. But I have to tell you, this class was fairly legit. It was a guy named Al.
Fairly.
They got in a
And
lot
had
of
his
trouble.
points.
Yeah, for some
There's a rub.
reason, I signed up. I think they were just using the name or something. I signed up for a guy that was teaching a class. His name was Al Guarino. He was known in the business. He passed on young, I think. But he did a cold reading class. And it was the first time that I really learned what cold reading was. You memorize your first line, you want to memorize your last line. When you're if I'm doing a scene with Cindy and she's saying her lines, don't be in the page. When I'm in the page, don't be speaking, look back up, grab the line even if it's half a line, and deliver my line while I'm looking at the person I'm acting with. Then when you're finished saying your line, I can go down, pick up my line, lift my head and say it. And it sounds very mechanical, but when you know how to do it and you do it right, it's recognized that you know how to cold read. And the less you're in the page, the better. Of course, I've seen famous auditions. There was one where, who was it? It was Jonah Hill or something, was in the trailer.
Just so we're almost out of time.
Superbad. No, get the hell out of here.
I swear I can't make
get
this
out of town.
Where did time go?
We didn't even talk about wellness and fitness.
Are you going to come back for part 2?
Jimmy, you didn't close your computer and start packing things up. So how am I supposed to know that we're at time?
Are you a juicer or like vegan or anything like that?
No.
Oh, you're not?
No and no.
Wow. That's surprising. It's surprising to me because...
I was. Okay. I was plant-based. Had a green juice every single day for years. And I would say 2020, I completely changed everything. I mostly do a ketogenic style.
Got it. And that makes you feel great and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, it's even speaking of EJ, he's since you started eating meat again, you're calmer,
more focused.
I was more. I would just have almost outburst,
yeah,
or
really.
It was because I get, and that's where when I talk to people who are plant-based or vegans,
for each person is different, right?
Yeah, and I get it of I care about animals. I get, because that was my reason.
Yeah.
I kind of was under that that program of for the animals,
noble,
and I mean I would sneak a steak every now and then, cry while I'm eating the steak because I saw the cow's eyes looking at me.
Sorry, Mr. Cow.
Sorry, Cow. But now I flip that to thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
There's more in there.
For nourishing.
Right.
My body.
Yes.
But I feel so much better since I changed I completely changed my...
Very cool.
My lifestyle, my relationship with food.
My neurologist said, okay, so
James
why do I have a neurologist? No, I have there's something with my neck and they just wanted me to get an MRI and check it out and talk to a neurologist, and she was saying that eating meat is not the bad thing because my cholesterol was a little high and I was going to cut out the meat. Mm-hmm. She said, but it's the you want to get grass-fed beef and you want grass-fed their whole life.
Oh, wow.
Not just because it says grass-fed, because they might have fed it grass the last couple months.
But the thing is,
how do you even know that?
I mean, because I get my meat, I go to farmer's market.
Okay.
And you can taste the difference.
Right. That's what I
the
wanted to
bacon.
ask. Okay.
You can taste the difference.
Okay.
So the thing with versus animals and eating plants.
Sure.
Because I noticed a difference when I switched and I cut back on my plants. Plants don't have a filtering system. They don't have a liver. They don't have a kidney like an animal does. So at least they're filtering pesticides, heavy metals. Okay. Plants, they absorb it all and keep it. And that's what I noticed. I cut back significantly on plants. And because I used to had bad melasma. On my face, dark spotting. As soon as I stopped that, it went away.
Wow, that's so when you come back, you have to elaborate more on that.
We'll
have to pick up from there.
We're gonna do a part 2 for sure.
Yes.
But I gotta tell you a little bit about my day. So these are I scheduled these 2 appointments today. One was a deep cleaning at the dentist at 9:00 in the morning. Then I had an 11 o'clock meeting with my tax person, where I'm probably gonna have to write a check, right? 2 worst things you could do. 2 things that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Go to the dentist and have to deal with your tax person.
You like being tortured.
I do, and then I went to physical therapy in the afternoon.
Well, that's good for you.
Yeah, but it was still. She likes to torture me too, but
that's some good torture.
All right. And on that note, I was going to start the podcast with that story, but
thank you so
probably
much.
Better that we do.
Thank
this.
you,
Cindy Leos,
I'm
guys.
excited to come back for part 2.
You'll have to be back. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Jim
Soon,
and James Morning
too.
Podcast. Thank you guys.
Make sure you
Next
subscribe.
time. Subscribe, Cindy.
I will.